Hey guys, what is going on? It's Whisper and Fuckboy, as I call him. Yeah, you fucking did, dickhead. And we're gonna do a live commentary video today instead, because this is a story that involves both of us. So I'm just gonna get into deathmatch, and then I'll start talking about it. All right. So when I was about, what was it? It was about like it was 3 or 4, right?
It was about 3.
Okay, that's what I thought. So when I was about 3 years old, I was over with my cousin, who are you the same age as me? You're the same age as me, right? So it was about 7 months. He's born 7 months after I was, right? And I was over at his house and with my aunt. Her name is Gina. Nobody likes her in the family anymore, really, because she did some horrible things.
And I'm fine with it, but that's
And Gina decided that Eli and I needed to take a bath. So we go to take a bath, and we get in the fucking bathtub, right? Back then, it's like not weird. Like, that's not fucking weird at all, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're like, fuck, we don't know what dicks are. We don't know what vaginas are. We don't know any of this, so we're just like not bothered by this. And we sit there and we play in the bath for a while. And we're kind of like messing around. But after some time, we decide that we need to get out of the bath. And so we go to get out of the bath. And Eli gets out first. And then I get out. And when I get out, I fall down. Okay.
So what he does is getting out of the bathtub. Outside the bathtub, the floor was raised up about, I'd say, 6 or 7 centimeters, and there was just this metal thing that would hold the linoleum down, and there was a towel on the side of the bathtub. So when he climbs out, what happens is he slips on the towel, okay, and he basically hits his face on the little lip on the linoleum, and it just reacts like a cheese grater to his face.
Yeah, that's the best way to say it. But also, I tripped, and when I fell, and my nose got caught on the only nail that was up on the linoleum floor. There was like nails in the linoleum floor to hold it down, because it was kind of ghettoed out a little bit. And then that nail had over time loosened up. And so I caught my nose on that particular one, and when I raised up to like get up, I had hooked my nose on it. And when I hooked my nose on it, I kind of like ripped half my nose off.
He kind of fucked up.
I fucked up. You know that meme? It's like, it was at this moment that Jerry realized he fucked up. Yeah, me. So I realized that I fucked up like really hard. And so I start screaming and crying immediately because half my nose is fucking dangling off my face at this point, right?
Yeah, okay. Visual representation. He cut himself from like about here, down here, cut his nostril off, and then like to the tip of his lip.
Yeah, it was really fucking bad. It was horrible. Okay.
It was edgy. So what happens is our Aunt Gina, she calls my mom at work because she didn't have a car at the time. So, and she didn't know if he was like gonna bleed to death or anything. And I don't know why she didn't just like, you know, call the ambulance in the first place. But instead she calls my mom at work. And
my mom or your mom?
My mom.
Yeah, it was your mom, wasn't it?
And she's like, I need you to get home right now. And my mom's just like, what's going on? And he's just like, how she reacted was like, Victor ripped his nose off falling out of the bathtub.
Wasn't she screaming and crying?
Yeah.
I do remember she was
After
like
she said it
freaking
the
the
first
fuck
time,
out.
it kind of hit her. He's like, his nose is off. I'm gonna be in so much trouble. So then she starts crying and panicking and stuff. And so my mom, okay, she thinks, oh, she's just over exaggerating. It's probably just like a cut or whatever on his nose.
I got fucked there. Alright, yeah.
So just like, okay, maybe it's just a cut on his nose. So the whole time she's thinking, okay, maybe it's not that big of a deal. But she instinctively asks off for work for the rest of the day. She gets home, and then my mom starts freaking out because his nose is almost completely off of his face.
Yeah, it was really fucking bad. Like, I just remember afterwards, who was called? I believe my mom was called, right?
I'm pretty sure.
And my mom like freaked the fuck out too, because apparently none of the adults in the situation could like keep a fucking calm mind. And so I got rushed to the ambulance, and I just remember sitting in the fucking emergency room, and like the pain was still there, but I was like more like freaked out because everybody else was freaking the fuck out, because it's like, oh my god, what's wrong with him? He got half his fucking nose ripped off. And I'm like, well, stop screaming, everybody. So I'm sitting there in the emergency room, and I'm crying because I'm like freaked out by how freaked out everybody else is. And well, the end of the story goes, I went in there and I had to get my nose like stitched back together, and that's why my nose is like kind of fucked up. If you look close, you can kind of see that my nose is like fucked up a little bit. But anyways, my nose was like completely fucked up, and I ended up having to get stitches. It's not the first time, and it definitely won't be the last story about me getting stitches, because I've gotten stitches and done some, like, I was a fucking klutz when I was young. I've had more stitches than I've had years alive on this planet, and that's like not a good thing. I probably had like double the stitches of my age. And it is sad, but I was a fucking klutz when I was younger. Also, my brothers were kind of dickheads. They fucking hit my head against a coffee table once, and that was horrible. So, that's about the end of that story, because I fucked up, but saved. Yeah, that's the best thing that I can explain it with, is that I was saved. I was okay. I lived. I didn't die or anything like that, but my nose is still kind of fucked up to this day. And my dad will make fun of me for it, like, all the time. Like, it's horrible, but my dad thinks it's, like, really funny to make fun of my nose for it. And I actually remember, like, when I was younger, I actually cried because of how mean he was.
As soon as we get into the game, now we're going to talk about how I fucked up in middle school when I cut my wrist going into the locker room to dress for PE.
You're a fucking liar. You cut it for Beaver, didn't you?
Fuck you.
I have no idea about this story, so unlike the last story, no fucking idea. It's on him to tell this story, not me.
So, beginning of 6th grade, I had PE right before lunch, so about 3rd period. For PE, we all got dressed out and had our PE clothes on, and we decide that everybody wants to play flag football because everybody wanted to go outside because nobody really actually enjoys staying inside for PE. So we're outside, and PE is usually like 45 minutes to an hour. I'm bad. I was on the winning team, so it was pretty fun. I got like super hyped with a couple of friends for flag football. Like, never happens because now I just hate sports. So as we're going in to go and get dressed into our normal clothes, we're running towards the locker room. And now how the locker room worked is it was on one side of the gym, and on the sides were a bunch of chairs. In front of the chairs, about a couple feet forward, was this extinguisher case. You know, the ones that say, you know, break glass in case of an emergency. Me and my friend were racing to the locker room, okay? Flag football, you can't tackle, but we're really hyped and we're running over there. And then my friend was just like, tackle, and he like shoved me forward. I ended up catching my foot on the bottom of these chairs, and my hand went through the, in case of emergency, break glass extinguisher cases. Okay, I hear the shatter, and I instinctively roll counterclockwise away from the thing, because, you know, I'm pretty sure I was gonna get cut because I heard the glass break. And what ended up happening is the glass didn't cut me, but the metal casing around it, that's what ended up initially cutting me. I'm not really freaking out at the time because I don't realize that I cut me. I'm just like, wow, you're a dick, and I broke the glass on the fire extinguisher case. Wow. And at the same time, the friend that pushed me is like, oh shit, look at your hand, I'm so sorry. And I'm just like, what's going on? And I look down, and it's not bleeding yet at all because adrenaline hasn't kicked in. Blood is like starting to get to it, but it's not like gushing out. What happens is, I look down at it, I can see like the main vein in my wrist, and this is when I started freaking out. I was like, great, I'm gonna need to get stitches. I've never gotten stitches. What's gonna happen? And then I'm just like, I can see the main vein. Usually when there's a main vein like that, people usually bleed to death. So I'm just sitting there like, is it cut? Is it nicked or anything? Am I gonna bleed to death? And then as adrenaline's happening, a bunch of blood starts dripping everywhere, covering my wrist, and I'm just like, shit, I'm dead. Then this is when I started crying because I wasn't sure what was going on, and everybody was like, this kid's a pussy, and I'm just like, because I was crying for my mom because I don't know what's happening, and I was like 10 or 11 at the time. The PE teacher comes out and she has a loner shirt, and she covers my wrist with it. So we start walking out to the office, and I'm sitting there, and they tell me what to do to stop bleeding prematurely, or like stop it from bleeding as fast. Then they say, okay, we're gonna call an ambulance, and I'm not crying at this point because now I've calmed down, still not hurting. And the ambulance gets here, they put me on the stretcher, and they basically take me to the hospital. Fuck off! Get to the hospital, and I lay in the bed for a while, waiting for my mom and my stepdad to get there, and they ended up getting there, and they asked me what's wrong, and they kind of like cheer me up, like making smart-ass jokes and stuff like parents. So I'm all calm now. First time ever getting stitches. I managed to not get stitches for 11 years. Good for me. Okay. The doctor that gets here, she's a female, and she says, so you're gonna get stitches, huh? And I'm like, yep, this is my first time. And she's like, huh, it's my first time for giving stitches too. And I'm just like, I want a fucking different doctor. She's telling me it's her first time giving stitches. Yeah, no thanks, I don't want this one. And I'm trying to convince my mom I could be fine. We could like butterfly it, which is basically like taking special band-aids and it closes it shut until it heals itself naturally. I'm just like, we can do that, and she's like, no, it's too big, we can't do that. And I'm just like, sure we can. And the girl gets back, she cleans it all out, and still didn't hurt. But then she comes back and she has a syringe and says, we need to use this to numb it all up so I can give you stitches without any pain. I'm like, okay. She says, it may or may not hurt, so just keep that in mind. Be sure to prepare yourself. And she doesn't stick the needle in me, but she sprays some of the fluid around before she sticks the needle in, because she knows that it's my first time getting stitches and I'm probably gonna react all weird to this. It really hurts. If you haven't had stitches before, try not to get them at all because it hurts a lot. After it's said and done, okay, I start getting stitches, and then I get to go home early, so that was a plus. Then my mom, okay, at the time, I was having really bad behavioral problems, and she said she was so happy that when the principal called and told her that I was hurt, she was so happy that I wasn't in trouble. Because she gets a call and she says, hey, this is Mr. Province, principal over at Pacheco Elementary, and she's just like, oh shit, what did he do this time? And he's like, I have Sean in the office right now, and Cal Fire's here, and her first thing that she thinks is, oh fuck, he burnt down the school. No, that was probably like the worst situation to be in, because my mom probably started to go into a full-blown panic attack thinking I burnt down the fucking school. It was such a big wound that they should have stapled it up, but they didn't, and I ended up getting 12 stitches on my wrist. And since they had to stretch the skin over instead of stapling it, I'm stuck with this scar. It's a hella big scar. Yeah, good enough, because my arm doesn't bend that way.
Have better friends, Eli. God, you stupid fuck.
I don't talk to him no more.
Well, that was our two stories. They were both oops stories because we made really fucking big mistakes. I was just a fucking klutzy failure in my young days. Hopefully you guys enjoyed those stories. My name is Whisper.
Fuck boy.
And we're out. Peace.